Hey, what's up, everybody? I am back. I have returned. I got another story for you today, but this time I'm going to read it from Sobering Coincidence. Missing 411, David Politis. Oh, man, I'm telling you. I had a beautiful day today. I'm off today, so I had a lot of time to recuperate from the weekend excursion that I had right here at the house where I just sat around all day and watched DVDs with a friend of mine, which was very, very relaxing. It was the best day of my life because I got a chance to just do me and no one else. You know, I didn't have to worry about work and nothing. It was great. It was wonderful. It was exciting. But now I am about to get down to business with another story. This story is creepy, yet at the same time very similar to the rest of the stories. I mean, it obviously is because it's coming from this book. I mean, duh, right? Of course. But anyway, this story today is about a young man named Walton Ward. That's Walton Ward. Not like the Waltons, you know, from the TV show from back in the days before I was born, but that's his name. I'm just saying. Walton Ward. Okay, now Walton Ward, he went missing on 10/12/2012 in Indianapolis, Indiana. He was at the age of 23 years old when he disappeared. To me, it's more like vanished because that's how it's being read in the book, in one of the chapters. So the disappearing part, that's one thing, but vanished, I like to gear myself towards that scenario because it's more of a vanishing than it is a disappearance. You know, it's because the way I see it, disappearing and vanishings are two different things to me personally, because you disappear. Okay, you can disappear in so many ways. Vanishings, there's only one way to vanish, and that's to just seemingly just poof out of existence. And that's kind of like what happened to this guy until he popped up again, dead somewhere. We'll get to that part later after I read that part. So, haha, here we go. All right. Now, from what David Politis said, this is his words, not mine. I want readers to take special note of this story and the following incident regarding Joshua Swallows, which is a story that I read a couple of videos ago. Or was it Joshua Snell? I think I read both of them. You guys can quote me on that if you need to, but you know. But anyway, each of these incidents happened in the city of Indianapolis 22 days apart. The bodies were found a quarter mile from each other. Both men had attended college in the past, and they were 1 year apart in age. Indianapolis is approximately 400 square miles in size, all around. Let me see. Okay. What would be the odds that these men had so much in common and never knew each other? Yeah, that would be a huge odd right there. Well, probably huge odds in these cases. Okay. Walton Ward wasn't a longtime resident of Indianapolis and took a circuitous route to get there. He was born November 23rd, 1988 in Tucson, Arizona, and moved to Alpharetta, Georgia. Just a couple of miles away from where I stay at here in Georgia. Wow. Too close to home. Let me see. Oh, yeah. Okay. Where he graduated from Independence High School. He moved to California and attended Diablo Valley College, where he was a nutritional science major. He had moved to Indianapolis and was living with his mom as of October 2012. With Walton being new to Indianapolis, he joined Cupid.com to meet ladies. He's young, so obviously, you know, want to meet the ladies and hopefully get a date and maybe somehow get that, you know what. But, you know, but anyway, but that's pretty cool, though. I haven't done that myself, you know. I was doing, what's that one? When we got that old guy with the glasses on a commercial. I can't even think of it. I just saw the commercial earlier tonight, but I can't think. But anyway, I did that. It didn't work out. So, and apparently with him, same thing. I'll get to that part in a few seconds. But anyway, okay. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Okay, his mom drove him to Pepper's Bar. Wait, hold on. Oh, yeah, okay, I'm sorry. I got a little ahead of myself. He joined Cupid.com to meet ladies. He arranged to meet a woman the night of October 11, 2012. His mom drove him to Pepper's Bar. He reportedly waited an hour and was stood up. And it's just like some females, not all of them, but just some. I guess she probably felt scared, because, some new guy, what I'm saying, she don't know what he's all about. She probably already had dates, lined up, but, she figured, new guy, she don't know what he could be bringing to the party. He could be a serial killer, so that's the reason probably why she stood him up, which is admirable because, you never know who you're going to meet out there, what I'm saying, especially when it comes to a blind date from a website. So I can commend her in that area, but at the same time, it's still kind of messed up. You could at least met the guy or looked at him from a distance to see what he looked like. I'm just saying. She probably did. It still was like, okay, well, he's not that cute or whatever. She just drove off. But you never know. Or she could have been standing right in front of him. She probably just said that she looked a certain way and was wearing a certain type of outfit, and he wouldn't have even known. She probably just she gave him a description of herself that wasn't true. So she could actually look at him from a distance and see what he looked like. Because I did that. Okay, I told a female that I was wearing a certain outfit. I drove a certain type of car and a certain color, and I was trying to see what she was looking like. Wasn't pretty, so I'm glad I told her that, and then I just drove off. We'll never do that again. But anyway, let me get back to the story. Get ahead of myself here. All right. He read that part. Okay. Now he then left and made his way to the Mine Shaft Bar, and from there he went on to the Land Sharks Bar. Bar employees told police that Walton was escorted out of the bar at 1:20 a.m. on October 12th. Obviously, the boy got sauced, sloshed, and some of everything else. Probably drunk too much. He was probably upset about the fact that some girl stood him up, and he was really looking forward to meeting somebody. And he was drinking away his sorrows with a lot of beer, and got a little messed up. Probably got a little unruly, and they had to kick him out. So he probably even got in a fight. He didn't say that, but it might have escalated to that point. But shit happens. It's just the way life is. But anyway, okay. Now, okay. October 12th. All right. Authorities. Hold on a second. I got a peanut in my mouth. Sorry about that. All right. Here we go. Okay. Authorities later checked Walton's cell phone history and found that his phone placed a 1-second call to 911 at 1:30 a.m. Okay, the call was disconnected. Now, this kind of reminds me of the young guy that I read about on my last post. He was 19 years old. He was driving to a certain part, and he actually ran into a ditch. He called his father, and he talked for 45 minutes. And he was on a road that he claimed he was on, but when they got to that area, he was nowhere to be found. So apparently, he got a little confused of where he was. Now, his way is very similar. When he was talking to his father for 45 minutes, it lasted, like I said, 45 minutes, but all of a sudden he heard his son say, "Oh, shit," and then the call went dead. So obviously something startled him or scared him to the point where he probably dropped his phone and it hit the ground and shattered into a million pieces. Or by his phone hitting the ground, it probably automatically hung up. I don't know, but that seems to be what the situation was with him. Now, with this call, same thing. He made a call to 911. It lasted 1 second, and then the call went dead. Okay, it disconnected. So I don't know if somebody came up to him or something came up to him which scared him, and he probably didn't even have a chance to even say anything. Somehow the phone went dead right at that last second, or something grabbed his phone, hung it up, or threw it to the ground. You never know what could have happened. But I mean, the evidence is right here in the book. It's telling you what happened. The call just went dead. There's a lot of unforeseen situations in a lot of these cases where you are told what happened, but when you're not looking through, the area through that person's eyes, you can't see what's going on. So all you see or all you hear about is what happened. So, okay, you walking along some area, then all of a sudden, the light goes dead when you call somebody. You only hear what happened. You don't never see what happened. That's the part about this that I always hate. You never see what happens. You never have any evidence of what happens. You just have these really mysterious situations that come about when other people tell you how everything went down. Okay, so like I said, the phone call was disconnected. There was very little positive information about the location of Walton for 10 days. There were searches. There were searches of the bar area, and employees were questioned, and nothing of evidentiary value was found. There was an article in the October 22nd, 2012 edition of the Indie Channel that changed the course of the investigation. The body was discovered just after noon in the White River in the 6400 block of Westfield Boulevard. A construction crew working along the river discovered the body in about 2 to 4 feet of water. One of the construction workers told RTV6 they spotted the body around 7 a.m., but they didn't realize until hours later that they were looking at human remains. His phone was found weeks later at the top of the banks of the White River. I was unable to determine the exact location of the find. The body went to the Marion County Coroner's Office, which determined that Walton died by accidental drowning. Okay, now see, this is the part that I always hate when it gets to the coroner's office. Every time a body is found face down. Every time the bodies of a young man is being found in a body of water face down, you never really know the condition of the body. You don't know were there any wounds or cuts or bullet holes, strangulation marks on the body. You just know that the body was found. It gets to the coroner's office, and they say accidental drowning. I mean, that's such a quick way of saying that you don't really know what happened. They use the whole accidental drowning part in the report just because of the fact that they can't seem to find out what happened to the body. And I know that they could not find a cause of death on the body. They just said accidental drowning. Because you notice, you'll sometimes say that the coroner said that it was an accidental drowning, or the coroner will say that they couldn't find a cause of death. Now, with some coroners, they just go straight for a cause of death that they could put in the report because they can't find out what happened to the person, you know. So you got all these bodies being found that are just dead in the water. Okay. Now I'm gonna read something at the very end of this, and this is gonna really put me at a point where I have been doing what they would politely want everyone to do after they read these books. And I'm gonna get to that in a second. Okay. Okay. Yeah, accidental drowning. Okay. I could not find a definitive. I could not find any definitive information about toxicology testing being released. The stories in my Missing 411 books are a myriad of coincidences. I'm someone who ensures that readers recognize these facts and come to conclusions on their own if there is indeed something more to these stories than just coincidence. I can tell you right now, just by reading the books, there is a lot more to these cases than just coincidence. I can guarantee you that, because he has said in a lot of his interviews that whatever this is, it can do what it does with 100% accuracy. There is no criminal on this planet that can do any kind of crime with 100% accuracy. They always leave behind some kind of evidence, whether it be some fragments or like from the fabric. Like it could be a fabric from their jeans, or some type of DNA that got left behind. Maybe somebody was scratching their chin and a little piece of dead skin fell on the ground or fell on the body. Or maybe some hair from you fell on the body. Or it could have been some hair that got stuck in your clothes. And that does happen a lot. The hair from that person got stuck in your clothes. Now I can tell you right now, for a man alone, if a man committed this crime, let's just say he's scratching his chin, or scratching like under here where he cut it, where he shaved his beard. I can tell you right now from experience, there's some dead skin that settles on your skin, like all this here. Normally I like to try to get this stuff taken care of before I go online. But with a man, it's detrimental to the health of your skin, to make sure all this stuff is smooth and the skin is healthy, so you won't have all these flakes flying off of your chin. So if a guy who may have committed a crime scratches his chin, there's going to be some of his DNA, flakes of skin that fall onto the body, if that's the case. But that doesn't happen. Okay, that lets you know that it can't be human, because if a person who is a human can commit a crime like that, they're going to go for the jugular, which means he's going to go for the three major ways of killing a person. That's stabbing, strangulation, or a gunshot wound. Now, they can also drug the person. You know, there's a drug that I saw in a movie called Law Abiding Citizen. Okay, one of the main characters in the movie used some type of drug from I don't want to say a drug, but kind of like some type of whatever. It's some type of stuff that was in a pufferfish that he injected into the body of someone that he was trying to torture. And what it does is okay, let me see if I can put this right. All of the nerves in your body somewhat die to the point where you can't move, but your senses are still alive. You can't move, but you can feel everything that's happened to you. That means you can feel the pain, you can feel the it causes some sort of neurological effect. You know, you can't move an inch, but you can feel the pain of someone torturing. Like if somebody's trying to chop off your limbs or cut your eyelids, or all kinds of crazy stuff. This is like what happened in this movie. And if you ever seen Law Abiding Citizen, you know what I'm talking about. That was one crazy movie, and it was some sort of toxin from a pufferfish. It got in his hand and it went through his entire body within seconds, and he just couldn't move. And he got into this warehouse that he owned, and he basically just tore him apart, literally. You know, by cutting stuff. Like he cut off his penis with a doggone box cutter. He cut his legs off. He cut his tongue out. He chopped his head off. He cut off all his limbs. All this stuff he was able to feel, you know, through the nerves, but he couldn't move. He was completely demobilized. It's weird, you know, and that kind of makes me think. That's my analogy towards what's happening with some of these people. The only problem is if a person is actually being killed in that manner, that toxin will be found in the body. Correct me if I'm wrong. Now, there are some drugs out there that are very undetectable. Like for me, for instance, I can tell you right now, something like that happened to me years ago. I'm not going to say where, but I was drugged, and it was in my food. And I ate it. It tasted oily. It didn't have no flavor to it, and it was like, I don't know. It just tasted oily. I'm thinking it was like maybe this oil that was secreted from the salmon that was in my container, because I had salmon and rice. I get halfway down the aisle in the place where I was working at, and I started feeling real funny. Like my body was just like, it was just feeling really icky, you know, and I was breathing heavy, and I was sweating like crazy, and I started to hallucinate. Now, what happened was, I started to hallucinate, and I was still just double up, I was just breathing real heavy, and I was telling them I don't feel good, I wanted to get up and kind of move around and get some air, whatever. They would never let me do it because I was a non-career employee at the time. Okay, so right after that, a couple of hours went by, I think 8 hours went by, and I completely worked it out of my system, and it was very undetectable. Now, a couple months later, down the road, or maybe a couple of years, I was watching Unsolved Mysteries, and it was talking about some type of drug. It was a poison, basically. It was like an oil-based poison that once ingested, it's undetectable in your system. No one will ever be able to find it. You know, and they said it was oily and tasteless, that's exactly what I had in my food. It was oily and tasteless. You know, and I'm pretty sure it was undetectable in my system because I never went to the doctor about that, you know, or anything. I just burned it out of my system. So with that being said, to me, if a person like that is being taken and they want to immobilize that person, they would probably use that drug to immobilize someone, do what they got to do, and that's it. They're dead. The only problem is when these people are found, they're found with no cause of death on the body. That means no puncture wounds in the skin, like needles. There's no strangulation marks around the neck. There's no stab wounds. There's no bullet holes. No nothing. It's just a lifeless corpse lying near a body of water or in a body of water. Okay, so that's the part that really gets me. Now with him, he leaves the bar after being escorted out, and that's it. Somewhere between point A and point B, he disappears for a time, and then he's found later on dead in the body of water in the White River. Okay, they didn't say he was face down. They didn't say he was half naked, which is nothing but his underwear on. They just said that they found a body. Okay, and that the coroner's office said that the Marion County coroner's office said that he died from accidental drowning. Now, going back to that, I said that the reason why they said that is because they couldn't find the cause of death on the body. They just didn't mention that part. You know, because anytime you find a case like that, it's very sketchy. There's not a lot of information on how the body was found, what they found on the body, They're not going to say that because it's a weird case. And they hate weird cases that they can't figure out, let alone solve. So, what do? They appease the parents and the family members by saying accidental drowning. First of all, yeah, he was drunk. That much is true because he was drinking his sorrows away after that girl stood him up. Okay, so that's probably the reason why they say accidental drowning. But they didn't say anything about his blood alcohol level either. So, I don't know. All I know is that he was drinking, obviously. Obviously because he was escorted out of the bar, so that means he's been drinking. He was going from one bar to another, and I'm pretty sure he had a drink in every single one. So he left out of there, he was drunk. Maybe he staggered a little bit and fell into the river. There was no evidence of that, okay? Because they didn't say anything about his blood alcohol level, like I said. They just said accidental drowning. So obviously, in my mind, there was something weird about his case and what they found in his body. There was something about his body that they found the evidence that they found was at a level where they was completely baffled as to what could have happened. Obviously, he had no cause of death on the body. He was just some lifeless corpse. Now, how can these people keep turning up like that? Every person that is found dead turns up like that. They turn up with no cause of death. So this is bringing back to what David Paulides said. He wants us to use what we read in the book to try and figure out what happened. He wants you to come up with your own hypothesis of what happened to these people, and that's what I do. That's what I do on this page. That's why I talk about all the weird shit. Okay, that's what my channel is all about. You talk about the weird stuff that nobody wants to even talk about it or don't believe in. Okay, I've had some people say I don't know what I'm talking about. I said, well, if you've read the books, you'll see what I'm talking about. But obviously they haven't. So I mean, I respect everybody's opinion, but I'm just saying. Now, in his case, or any other case for that matter, there is something happening here. Something, not someone, but something. Now, I was listening to a Coast to Coast AM broadcast last night, and they was talking about electric fog. Now, this is the same thing that happened to a pilot. I think he was in Florida at the time. He said he was flying, to a certain area, and this like tunnel of fog just came out of nowhere, and every time he would move up, the fog would move up. So it was like it was under some type of control where they wanted him to go through that darn tunnel. Okay, so he finally goes through the tunnel. He saw, and it was like some type of electric mist or fog. And when he came out of it, it was like I think a couple of hours later. It's almost like he went through time and space itself and came out on the other end a couple of hours later. I think the flight must have lasted. The flight through that tunnel lasted a couple of seconds or a couple of minutes, but when he got out of the tunnel, it was like a couple of hours later. So I'm thinking that maybe, because I did hear stories about this fog that seems to have a mind of its own in the woods. And so I forgot the name of the woman that I talked about in one of my previous posts in the past, about how she was like a folklore expert, and she was talking about some type of mist that would come down on top of something like an animal, and then in the next frame, if they had like one of those forest cameras that they mount on trees to catch wildlife or whatever. She said in one frame you see this mist or fog surround the animal like a wolf, and in the next frame the wolf is gone, and so is the mist. So now, given the fact that most frames, those type of frames and those type of cameras, they go from one pic to another when they're taking pictures. So in that instance, in that next frame, he could have just walked off or whatever. But that with that mist being around it, I'm thinking the mist took the animal. Okay, because they said it was another story about how a police officer was in his squad car on the road, and this mist came from behind his car, went over the car, down to the front, it went in front of the fender, and just kept going. Who does that? What does that? You know, it's like the mist had a mind of its own. So there is something going on out there, you know, that we are not able to fathom at that point, because some people are just going to say straight up that they don't believe this, you know, because it doesn't make any sense, so they don't believe it. There's no proof that it happens anyway. But still, in that case, with these kind of people that turn up dead, something is able to kill people without touching them. What? I don't know. Now, with the Henry McCabe case, I know I talk about him a lot, but that's a perfect example of a lot of these cases, how these people just end up dead. You hear him moaning in pain. As a matter of fact, I could probably play it for you, but I'll probably do that on my next video because I got my phone over there on the sofa, so I don't want to just run over there and get it and come back. You know, I probably could, but I'll see what I'm going to do later on. But you can hear him moaning and groaning in pain, and then you hear a growl in the background, and you hear someone say, "Stop it!" after the growl. You know, you don't hear that part. For some reason, they don't want to play that, but they said that someone said, "Stop it." Okay, but it's the fact that whatever this creature was, it was growling. I'm thinking that this creature had the ability to get inside Henry McCabe's body or his mind, with its mind, and torture him from the inside out, to where he felt all this intense pain in his body, to the point where the trauma of this pain killed him. And then after that, that was it. So whatever these things can do, it can kill people without touching them, and it probably uses some type of mind power in order to do that. And after that, that's it. You die. There's no evidence because it never touched you. There's no fingerprints. There's no nothing. That's the only way I can think of as far as a person being killed without being touched. It's some type of mind power that we don't have. You know. So obviously, wherever these things are coming from, they're coming from some type of dimensional. Like another dimension or another parallel Earth where fiction is actually reality. So you probably have a parallel Earth where there is a Superman, where there is a person that has all these crazy mind powers, or where there's probably another dimension or another world where people have the same powers as the people that was on that TV show Heroes. You know, like Siler, he had that kind of power where he could kill you without touching you. All he had to do was use some type of force beam that comes out of his fingers, cut your skull open, and take out your brain. Now, in any case, if a person dies and he has no cause of death on the body, I would imagine someone could reach inside a person's skull, phase through the skull, grab the brain, and yank it out. Therefore, the person just drops dead right there on the ground. I don't know. That's just me thinking outside the parameters of logical thinking. That's just the way I do it. I love this kind of stuff. That's why I have my channel. That's why I talk about these things. And if you like what I talk about, you're going to love what I'm talking about right now. It's just crazy. Oh, I love these books, man. It's just, it wakes you up, okay? And anybody that keeps saying that, oh, I know he was kidnapped. I know he was abducted by someone. Yeah, but who is this someone? Every single person has been killed in that manner, or found, or never been found. There has got to be some type of illogical reason why. These people are seemingly walking into nothing, and then they can't get back after that. They're just gone. They're still living, but living in another dimension or living on another parallel Earth. That's the only thing I can think of is the reason why these people vanish without a trace. Okay? Just like Brandon. I believe that's his name, Brandon. The guy I talked about in my last post. I can't think of his name right now, but anyway, the bottom line is, this stuff is actually happening. It's reality, okay? These creatures are reality. It's just for some reason, everybody thinks that you got to have evidence to know that it's reality, or you got to have someone else find the evidence to say that it's real. You don't really have to. It's there. It's in these folkloric stories, in these books that talk about all these creatures. You know, it's there. Just because it's in a book don't mean it's just a story. Just like the Wolfman from 1930s, when they first came out with that black and white version of the Wolfman. They obviously got that story from something. There's one thing I learned about movies. When these movies come out, they got the movies from some type of story that they may have heard from the past. And these stories are written by someone who obviously saw these creatures back when they were roaming the earth on a regular basis. Okay, they can obviously slip in and out of our dimension through theirs. So I'm just saying, when you hear these stories, don't just say, oh, it's just a legend, it's just a story, it's not real, it was made up. Who has the ability to make up stories like that? It is so elaborate. Who could have thought about making up a story about a man who turns into a wolf man? Okay, you get bit by a wolf and you turn. I'm pretty sure they were capable of splicing a bunch of ideas together where a person gets bit by a wolf and then they turn into a wolf man every full moon. Okay, but maybe, just maybe, that back in the early days that actually happened, where a man got bit by some type of mystical wolf. Okay, or even what do you call those? Shoot that. Oh man, it's a thing about this ranch that has all these crazy creatures on. Can't think of it right now, but anyway, the bottom line is, whatever you think about all of these stories like Wolfman, like an upright werewolf, the Chupacabra, the Mothman, the Jersey Devil, all of these creatures came from some type of evidence, some type of truthful evidence from way back when. Okay, and people all across the world have seen these creatures. There's a video I saw on the internet the other day of some bat-looking creature flying over in Brooklyn, New York, my hometown. Okay, now who's to say that is? I can't tell you that it's fake. I can't tell you that it's real. But the video shows you right there of some creature with a long tail, and it's got like an elongated body and these wings that's just flapping in the air, and it disappears off into the distance, out of the way of the camera. Okay, so obviously these things can slip in and out of dimensions. They come from their dimension, they come into this one. Okay, it's not. I'm not gonna say that it ain't possible, because it is. Just like how time travel, they look at it as something that is fiction or non-fiction, because they think it's just a fabricated story that someone made up for the masses, to create a big movie that can turn out to be a huge hit. The government knows how to time travel. I'm telling you that right now. They know how to time travel. They know how to go in and out of these portals and all that stuff, because they probably get this technology from the Greys, the aliens. I'm just saying. Think about this, people. When you have stories like this in these books, and people just seem to vanish without a trace, there are portals all over this planet that we can't see with the naked eye, because energy is invisible. Everybody should know that. Everybody knows that. You don't have to be a scientist to know this. Energy is invisible. Now, I know sometimes you see like a wavy type deal with the energy. If it mixes with the elements, air or heat or whatever, you can actually see it. Or if you had a night vision camera that can show you the energy, or infrared camera, same different. If it gives off a type of heat energy that can only be seen with that, that's how you can tell if it's real or not. Okay, but it can't be seen with the naked eye. So if people walking into a national park or a national forest, and they're walking, and all of a sudden, some people have said they've seen this wall of wavy energy, and on the other side, you can see the trees, but you can't see what's on the other side until you walk through it. And when they walk through it, that's it. You can't. Some people have came back, some people haven't, because it probably closed on them. With that being said, trust me, everything you heard of since you was a little kid that you may think is just folklore, legend, or just a made-up story, trust me, it is all true. It is all true, because the proof is right here in this book, the Mission 411 books. They talk about how these people seem to drop, they get started, they drop their phone, and the phone call goes dead all of a sudden. They say, oh shit, or they see something, you hear them saying that they saw something, but you don't hear everything because the phone line goes dead somehow, instantly. Okay, so I'm thinking a lot of it has something to do with aliens as well, and abductions, which is what happened to Stephen A. Kubacki. He was abducted by aliens and was placed 700 miles away from where he was last sighted. Well, not sighted, but from where he was on that lake, on Lake Michigan. They found his footprints on there, and he was found 14 hours or 14, I think it was 14 days later, in a field somewhere. And that happens a lot in these abductions. People get abducted, and all of a sudden, they actually they turn up somewhere miles away from where they were last picked up. But anyway, that's my time on this story. I got more coming, so keep your eyes peeled to my channel, and I will return with more crazy, out of this world, mind-blowing stories. So, aloha, mahalo, and hui ho. Peace out, guys. Be safe, be blessed, and have a good one.